Hi, my name is Jamal Ashraf, and I want to talk about naming convention in programming in general and in Python in specific. So we're going to go over how we're going to be using the variable names in our class, uh, and then we describe different types of it and how is it going to work. So I'm going to talk about the variable names. So basically, it's going to define a variable. So it's going to be descriptive and going to be something that we can make sense of it. Remember, the idea of writing program is not what we're going to do and turn it in right now. Is the idea that in the future, other developers, including ourselves, can come into the program and we can read the program and make sense out of it without spending too much time on it. So one of those issues that comes up is how we're going to name the variables. And so in general, we're going to be using underscore or character, lowercase or uppercase. Even though we can start with the underscore, we are not going to use it right now at this class. We're going to use it later on when we get to the classes and the variable names in class members. You must try to avoid single character names as much as possible. So for example, if I come back to my own program in about 6 months down the road and I look at a variable name R, it wouldn't make that much sense to me versus if it's kind of called tax rate or income rate or grade rate or some other things. So let's try to use it more descriptive than just a single character variable name. So we cannot use any other symbol like question mark, percent, star, or other stuff. We are talking about to use these types, and we're going to get more into it. This is called the camel case, mainly saying that we are starting with lower case word, and each other words is going to start with uppercase. So that is the convention we're going to be using for our variable in this class. So the names are case sensitive. Most of the languages, programming languages in computer science is that the case that if we have can volume versus the can volume, there are two different variables. So if I start with the uppercase C or lowercase c, they are different. So we got to be careful that when we are using one variable name, that's the way we're going to be using it throughout the program. Of course, within US IDE, they're going to help us out. So we cannot use the reserved words for our programming, even though Python is not very restrictive on these things, but it is going to get very confusing if we use those things. So the definition of a reserved word is a word that Python or any other languages is using it to do its own special way, like if or for loop or anything like that. So we are going to be using this couple of rules for our variable names for now, and then we're going to add some stuff to it when we get into it later. So first rule, it has to be descriptive. It has to make sense. So when I look at a variable name, it has a meaning. So the book case is cans per pack versus CPP. My example is tax rate versus R. The most programmer are using the camel case, and this is something that started a while back, and almost every programmer is using this. The new programmers, we are using underscore for constant variables because we are using all uppercase, and then we separate them with the underscore, and we talk a little more about that. So the convention is if we have any uppercase starting a variable name, those have some special meaning. Again, it is our convention. That doesn't mean if you do it, the Python is going to complain about it. It's just something that we set as a convention, and we all try to comply with that so we all know what's going on with it. So when we get to the class names, when we get to the user-defined data types, those are the one that starts with the uppercase. We don't have to worry about them right now, but we're going to get to them soon enough. So let's go over them again. The camel case is the one that has starting with the lower case word, and every other word is going to start with uppercase. The example, username, total amount is available. Those are for camel case. And these are the ones that we're going to be using in this class. So be sure this is the way you're going to comply for the classes that you're taking with me. It doesn't matter if it's going to be Python, Java, or C++. The snake case is the one that's going to use underscore. We were using these long time ago. 30 years ago, this is the way we were going to do it. Some Python programmers are using this convention, and it's mainly used for the constant variables, and that's where we want to reserve it for. The examples are username, total amount is available, so every word is separated by underscore, but we are suggesting not to use that convention in our class, and instead use the camel case. The constants are the variables that we are not use, it's not change its value throughout the program. Languages like C++ and Java enforce that. That means if I define something as a constant, the next developer or myself, we cannot change it. If we try to change the value of it, it's not gonna let us do it. But Python is not like that. So it is on the shoulder of programmers to enforce it. So first of all, we're going to put this on top of our program. So this is coming in from your book, vending.py, and we have the comments. Remember, we're going to put the comments everywhere that we can. And then we are putting the words separated by underscore, and they are all capital letters. So that means if I see something like this throughout the program, I am not going to change the value of it inside the program. So here we have pennies per dollar, that's 100, and pennies per quarter is 25, something that's set and nobody should change it. Again, Python does not enforce that. So if somebody goes in the program and change this to something else, that's going to happen. But we are going to be very conscious about it, not to change it. So we're going to use this as many time as possible. So if we see a variable that's not going to receive a value or change its value, we're going to set it as a constant. One of the reasons that we want to do this is if we need to change this value, if there is a reason to change it, then we just come in and change it in one place. And we don't have to go through all the codes that we have everywhere and change it. For example, we have tax rate. So if I have tax rate that, let's say it is 10%. So I'm going to come in on top of this program or any other program. I'm going to define it as tax rate. Let me see if I can write on this. So I am going to create a tax rate, and I'm going to set it to, let's say, 10%. So it's going to be 0, 10. So I set this one, the tax rate, let's say it is sales tax rate, so we don't mix it up, to make it more sales tax rate. That way I know this is for the tax rate for the sales, and it is 10% right now. And I'm going to define it on top of my program, just like we did it over here. And now, if the tax rate, the sales tax rate, changes from 10% to 11%, I don't have to go through all the code in all my program or any other program that I'm looking at and change it to 11%. I just come here on top of this program and I change the 10 to 11, and that's all I need to do. So those are the advantage of using constant. All right, so moving forward, let me clear this. Okay, now these are the examples that we have for constants. So we have max users for 100. We have pi for 314159. We have default timeout for 10. So you can easily see the last two, max users and default timeout, can potentially change in the future. But then I only come in and change these if I have to, or somebody, or tech support, or somebody who doesn't even know about programming can come and change these. And then we can read it from somewhere if we need to, but it doesn't change anything in my programs. So I'm going to be using this max user or default timeout throughout my program. And if I need to change it, I just change it in one place. I don't have to go through the programs to change it. And if I see something that's all uppercase, I am not going to change its value. So if I see max user in the middle of my program, I'm not going to change the value of it in the middle of the program. I have to come to the top of the program and change it over there. That's all I have for this, and then we talk more.